The famous 1980s wrestler Ted DiBiase once said, "Every man has a price." And with that being said, you being an author, a person who has published a book or maybe getting ready to publish books, what is that price that it would take for you to part ways with your intellectual property? How much would you need to be compensated in order to feel justified in giving off of your assets? Well, today's guest is Sean Dolwitt. Now, Sean's actually been on the YouTube space for quite some time. Heck, I actually saw him start out his channel quite some time ago, and actually we'll even dive into that even further in this one. But Sean actually he had a valuation of his self-publishing business at $1 million. What? And you're going to find out how he didn't quite get $1 million, but he came pretty close to it. But some of the heartaches and hassles and things like that went into selling his self-publishing business and then starting from scratch all over again, because believe it or not, it wasn't as easy. And does Sean have any regrets? You're going to find out exactly what that looks like, and you'll get some insights on somebody who has walked this path. And if you, for some reason, want to walk that path as well, maybe he'll give you a couple little tips that you can do yourself. I'll see you on the inside of this interview. Dude, this is a long time in the making. I mean, hell, you and I have been connected for how many years now? Like, I think you and I stumbled over each other 2017-ish.
Man, I think, around 2017, 2018, probably 2017, because I started self-publishing end of 2016. So I've been in the space since then. So yeah, it's been a long time, man.
What's that journey been like for you since?
Well, do you want to know like how I got started with publishing and how it went for me? Or
give it to me, man.
Yeah.
The floor is yours.
Okay, so the journey basically started. So I'm originally from Japan. I moved to Hawaii when I was 14, and went to high school there, learned English. When I was 18, I discovered entrepreneurship. I was actually recruited into a network marketing company by my friend, and that's how I learned the concept of passive income entrepreneurship. There's a better way than trading your time for money, right? You can make money while you sleep, basically. So I'm like, this is amazing. That's exactly what I want to do. So I went for, I tried to be successful with network marketing for years and years and years. I read a ton of books, try to improve my skills with sales and marketing as well. But, as a natural introvert, and also English was my second language. I mean, now I speak a lot better, but I still stutter, once in a while here. Back then it was a lot worse. And, I just wasn't a good networker, and I couldn't make that business happen. But I still had this dream of, I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and more so make a ton of money and make a ton of semi-passive income, I guess. So I was working a full-time job around when I was 20, 21. I think I was 21 back in 2016. So I was working a full-time job as a concierge for this big hotel chain. I'm not going to mention name, but you definitely know which hotel. And I was a concierge over there. And then one day, on back of, after my shift was done, I YouTubed how to make money online. While I was brushing my teeth, I'm like, I was just randomly got this thought. So I looked it up. I got this video that I found of a guy talking about how Kindle publishing, was one of the easiest business model to start making money online. So I'm like, all right, cool. Let me give this a shot. So I purchased a course and started publishing a book on it. So basically back then, this course was teaching how to create like very, very short books, like mini books, around 5,000 word long. And you can write it yourself, or you can hire somebody on Upwork. So I went and hired someone on Upwork, got the book done, got the cover done, and the course didn't, teach anything about marketing. So I was kind of stuck there. I went into like different Facebook groups and, asking people how to do the marketing part. But anyways, I published it after a month or so, and then I started making money. That was the first money I ever made online, and I literally made $1, and I'm like, this is crazy. I'm gonna go all in. So after making $1, I actually spent like all the money that I had saved up from my job to hire a coach, and then I just went all in from there. But the first book started doing $200 or so a month, and so obviously it died down very quickly. And the issue was that it was a good keyword, good niche. profitable, and that's why I was making sales. But what happened was the book wasn't good, obviously, because it was like 5,000 word long, right? So I got a lot of negative reviews. It just slowly died. And so I pretty much like kept repeating the process, the second book, the third book, fourth book, and every time, some would flop, some would make money, but overall I was kind of like stacking my income and it was growing every single month. And just kept doing that. I think I hit my first $1,000 a month after my third month, and then kept going and going and going. I was able to build it up to the point where I was making 10,000, or I hit my first 10K in a month after 10 months, and this is me heavily reinvesting everything. So obviously, I know that a lot of authors are listening to this podcast, right? But I never write the book myself. I hire ghostwriters. So basically, I'm more approaching this from a marketer's perspective, right? So I basically go into, the market like Amazon and find profitable niches and keywords that I can publish in. And then I connect that topic with a qualified ghostwriter that can write the book for me. And then, I create a book and then publish it. So, obviously I had to reinvest all the profit that I made for the first, multiple months, and as well as my, job income, right, into the business. But eventually you'll hit a point where it kind of flips. So now you're able to just reinvest off of, the profits, and then you're still making a little bit of profit from the business too, right? So I hit the point, and now I'm profitable, and then I just kept building from there, and my portfolio grew, and 10K a month became normal at that point. It was like a consistent thing, and then I maintained that for years and years and years. But then I hit another wall, basically. So I was doing 10K a month. I finally quit my job. I was very conservative with that. Like I didn't quit my job until I hit 10K a month, But what happened is I was kind of stuck there at the 10K level. And the biggest lesson I learned, should I keep going, or do you have any?
No, please. I'm listening. Keep going.
Okay.
Keep going.
All right, cool. Okay. So what happened was, it was great. I'm not complaining because I was consistently hitting $10,000 a month. But I hit a point where every time I publish a new book, that would do well, but my old book would die off. So it was like plus minus zero, So I was in this rat race of just consistently publishing new books, right? But then the old one would die. So the ceiling of 10K was not growing. So one day, and at this point, I wasn't publishing 5K words. Like, I evolved past that very quickly, but I was still doing like 10,000 words, 15,000 words. The covers were still ordered from Fiverr. So essentially, in my mind, I've improved the quality of the book, but it wasn't still good enough. It was still getting negative reviews, right? So I really kind of stepped back and analyzed what's happening. Well, obviously, it's because the books are dying out, right? So I, kind of ask myself, how can I make this really, really good so that I can actually genuinely, get positive reviews? Because, a lot of times, some of my books, it'll get positive reviews, but, a lot of times over time, people will complain that it's too short, right? That would be the main thing, as well as it wasn't really selling as well as it could because I was cheaping out on the book cover, So I basically just shifted my focus to super high quality books. And it's more of an investment up front because now I'm, creating about a 30,000 word long book, right? And that would come out to around 150 pages long. At that page length, no one would complain that it's too short. It's actually a very sweet spot in terms of the page, like the length of the book, because it's not too short, it's not too long. It's really, if you get to the point and give good information, people will be happy with 150 page. I started creating books that long, as well as I started reinvesting more into, higher quality writers. So the content's actually good. Started doing more research before I ordered the book to the writer. So, I started doing better outline research, topic research. So I knew exactly, what the customer was looking for, what kind of problem I can solve for them, as well as, ordering better book covers. So I spent more than just $5 for a book cover. And I think you can start off with that, but like $50 to $100 would get you a pretty decent cover design, or sometimes even more that I would pay. But anyways, the point is I started focusing on super high quality books, and lo and behold, what happened was I would publish a book, I would make sales, but then it never died off. It would be, it would continue to sell. And now it was actually it was the reverse that was happening, because, it would continue to sell and then continue to gather organic, positive reviews, that would just push the book even further up in the algorithm, right? So now it would sell even more, and then that would in turn get me more reviews, and then it'll sell more and then more reviews, and it just, this positive cycle that just kept going. So I had a couple winner that was doing well, so I just kept building a brand around that, and then that really stacked upon each other in terms of the income. So I went from 10K a month to all the way up to 35,000. I did some $40,000 months, and that year was really, really great. And around there, I was at this point I was doing YouTube and stuff too. So I had two different focus, right? I had YouTube, the teaching side, and then also the actual publishing side. And there's this concept of actually selling the business has been going around. I had a couple of friends who did that, actually selling their publishing business. So the thought was in the back of my mind, and because I had a really, really great year, my multiple and how much I could sell my account for was really high. So there's this website called Empire Flippers that you can list your KDP account, and just to get just to even get valued, right? You don't have to sell it, but you can at least get valued and see how much you can sell it for. So I wasn't really planning to sell it, but I'm like, why don't I just go and at least get an idea, right? So I listed, and I got $1 million valuation. And I'm like, this is crazy, right? So I'm like, if I can sell it at $1 million, that'd be great. And so I listed it, and I actually only got 2 offers. The first one was not good. The first guy gave me a very lowball offer, and then he wanted me to just stay in the company. After I sell it, he wanted me to have 10% stake and keep working on the business for him. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense, because I would just be working for less, right?
Right.
So the second guy was actually good. And at this point, I didn't get a ton of offers. Maybe I should have been patient, because if I would have been patient, maybe I could have sold it for the list price. But the second offer was lower than $1 million. It was $820,000, but it was actually a pretty simple deal, which was just cash. I'll give you cash. There's no performance-based contingency, nothing. They would just buy it flat out. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, that's actually very simple, and I'll be down for that. So that's exactly what I did. I sold the business, which I'm kind of like 50-50 on whether I regret it or not, because my brand, my first KDP account, because I focused on high quality, because I built a legit brand that people love and people come back to, that account after a year and a half of selling it is still maintaining that 35, 40K a month income, right? So the upfront money is great, like 820K, that's great, but
nothing sees that for sure. It's super impressive for sure.
Right, like 3 years I'll make my money back, or I'll make that and so much more, because now I still got the assets. So the second account I probably will not sell, but I started a second account, and it's been a year after that, and it's back up to 10K, and I'm excited to keep building. But that's pretty much the long story of my journey from the beginning to now.
Yeah. So when you ended up selling this out, did you just hand over the account to that person, or did you have to send all the assets and they had to start their whole new account with that?
Yeah, I'll be so I handed off the entire account. So the way it works is you log into your KDP account while you're Zooming them, like on a Zoom call with the buyer, right? And the buyer actually logs into your KDP account as well with your credentials. And then while you're on the call with them, they go and update, the account information, tax ID, bank account, everything. So they just take over.
Interesting. Did you have to contact KDP at all to let them know that you were doing that, just to make sure everything was safe?
Yeah, so I've emailed KDP up front and asked them, is this possible? And they said, yeah, it's okay. It's possible, but they did say that you cannot transfer individual books or transfer books to another account, right? If you want to do this, they have to take over the account. So that's something that I emailed them and confirmed.
So is an all or nothing type situation then?
At least from my understanding, some people do say that you can transfer individual books. I don't know how that works, but so this whole selling process took like months, right? So I've been going back and forth with Empire Flippers, which is a broker company, and also went back and forth with KDP, and the only solution we found was this. So if there's another way, that'd be great, selling individual books, but I don't know any.
What's the current account looking like now? Now that you've started a new account, are you back on track to earning that $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 per month?
Yeah, so revenue-wise, last month I did $15,000, $10K, or actually $11K from KDP, and then around $2,500 from ACX, and I have Ingram Spark and different channels, right? So added up to $15K. The ads are kind of expensive though for this new account. So the thing about my new KDP brand is that I cannot go into the same niche that I know is profitable and that I know very well of, right? Because I have the non-compete, because I sold the first one, I had to sign a non-compete. So I went into the second KDP niche, and I've never done it. It looked great when I researched it, but after starting it, I'm learning that maybe there's a lot of like traditional publishing companies publishing books on it, because the ad cost just is really high. It's a lot higher than the first one. So I'm still profiting, right? 15K, I'm still profiting, maybe like half of that, but the ad cost is on a higher end. And that's the next thing that we're working on, is I actually, started working with a new ad management service. So hopefully we can lower the A costs and everything. But revenue-wise, it's doing well, and I think over time, as we keep building it, keep getting reviews, the number will keep growing. Because that's the thing with KDP, right? It's like the more books you have in your portfolio, the more reviews. Basically, the time is on your side. If you do it right and if you keep building it, it's very steady, and it just keeps increasing over time. So
have you broken into fiction yet? Because it seems like you've primarily focused on nonfiction since day one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was tempted to do fiction for a while. I started with nonfiction. That's because that's what the course taught, right, when I first started. And that's what I saw success. For a while, I thought fiction would be cool because, with fiction, it really builds upon each other. With nonfiction, typically it's standalone books, right? So yes, you can create a brand, create a series, but there's a limit to like how many books one customer buys from you. But with fiction, I mean, it can be literally unlimited. Like once you hook them in to your series, they can buy the entire thing, and your lifetime value of the customer can be like extremely high. But at the same time, with fiction, from my understanding, I never done it, so it's really like just speaking based on looking into it from an outsider perspective. But I've gone through the fiction course multiple times. I have many fiction friends, and they all kind of agree with this, where they say that it's profitable, but it's also very expensive to start, significantly more expensive than nonfiction. Because with nonfiction, you can target easy to rank keywords that's low in competition, and then you can start making money from one book. With fiction, there's not really a keyword-based ranking, right? It's more so category, and pretty much it's like romance. Everybody goes into romance. So the competition is significantly high, and how do you stand out from that? Well, you just got to run a crap ton of ads and outbid your competition. And at the same time, your lifetime value of the customer becomes very important, because if you're spending so much on ads, you got to make sure that you're making your money back. And the easiest way is to have a bunch of books so that the customer can buy more from you, and thus you're making more money, right? But if you only have one book, if you're just getting started, that's not going to happen. You're not going to be making a ton of money. So you really need to eat the cost. Like you need to eat a loss for the first multiple books until your series is built up, and your lifetime value is higher, and then your audience email list is built up. then you can start seeing profit. But a lot of my friends say, you know, it's like tens of thousands of dollars just to get to that point. I don't know if that's true, but I know that it's just more expensive, and it sounds like a whole new business, you know, fiction and nonfiction. So I'm like, nonfiction is working for me, so I'll just stick to that.
That's true. You got that formula. Yeah, if it works, definitely keep going with it. And before you know it, maybe you'll be selling another $1 million business here. And I certainly hope that works for you, man. As we start to wrap up the podcast, I always like to ask my guests, which, by the way, we just covered 20 minutes like it was nothing. And I appreciate you taking some time with me. But I asked this, what advice would you give to any aspiring authors and self-publishers out there?
I think the biggest thing is to follow one formula. So whether you're doing low content, medium content, nonfiction, or fiction, I think following a course and, you know, just one method of doing things, it will be super important. Just because, like, you don't want to be all over the place, right? Because, you know, if you're doing nonfiction, the way you build this business is different than if you're doing low content books, as an example. The way you make the book is completely different, right? If you're doing fiction, once again, it's completely different. So, you know, if you're going and publishing, let me try fiction, and then let me make one book on, you know, planners, and then let me make another book in nonfiction, you're all over the place, right? And then you're switching pen names, and, you know, you're not really building an audience. So the point is, you know, stick to one niche, right? Stick to one type of business, so whether that's fiction, nonfiction, or low content, and within that, you know, whether you're doing, let's say you're doing nonfiction, within nonfiction, you want to stick to one niche. So once again, you don't want to be all over the place. You want to, you know, dive deep into the niche and build a brand from there. But on top of that, you want to kind of just follow someone that knows what they're doing, and just, you know, go all in for about a year. I would say, I think a lot of people have this weird expectation that you can make it happen like in a month, 2 months, 3 months, because, you know, a lot of YouTube videos will give this false expectations of, you know, making a bunch of money in a very short time, right? Because those are the videos that gets views. But the reality is, and no matter what business you do, you should be going all in for at least a year, I think, you know, just to determine whether it's working for you or not. I think that'd be my number one advice, is just, you know, follow one method of doing things, and then just don't shotgun and be all over the place. Just pick one niche and, you know, build it as deep as you can.
You've been listening to the Self-Publishing with Dale podcast. Visit us at selfpublishingwithdale.com for more information on how you can level up your self-publishing business. Also, check out our growing video-on-demand service, chock full of free and premium content, when you head over to theselfpublishinghub.com. If you enjoyed the show, please consider leaving a review on your preferred podcasting platform. We thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode.